How far would you guys take it to get revenge on someone? And how cruel can revenges get? Today's story is about a crazy love and affair and an unsolved mystery that's really messed up if it's true. But as of right now, no one knows if it's true or not. It just remains as an unsolved mystery slash theory. So this story was actually aired on 당신이 혹하는 사이, which is a new mystery channel on SBS, and I love to watch it because the panels there really dive deep into mysteries and theories. All the information is based on this documentary and other excerpts that I found on the internet. So again, this is unsolved and we don't know what the truth is. So you and I are gonna try to find a little bit of truth here. Miss Tangmo Nida was a famous news anchor in China. As you could see, she was very beautiful and she was very active in her career and her life. One day, without any word, like a ghost, she just mysteriously disappeared. She wasn't on TV again. She never appeared anywhere else. I mean, she was a public figure and no one can figure out what happened to her even till this day. She disappeared in 1998 and she was actually 8 months pregnant. As you guys know, pregnant women don't really go missing because she has to deliver a baby. Whenever a pregnant woman disappears, it is highly suspicious. The rumor goes that she actually tried to commit self-harm multiple times before she disappeared. The reason was because allegedly she was the mistress of a then mayor of Dalian, China, and his name is Bo Xilai. The then mayor of Dalian was married to his second wife, Miss Ku, and we will get more into about this family because it does get really crazy like a spider web. Bo Xilai was known to be a very powerful politician. The alleged story goes that when the anchor Zhang got pregnant with the mayor's child, Zhang, quote, openly challenged Bo's wife. Not sure what openly challenged means, but I'm guessing that she was trying to extort her somehow of her, maybe some kind of corruption, maybe, you know, they had this like drama, like a triangle love affair drama. Since they were a big political family and she was in kind of like the media entertainment industry, I mean, it wasn't really a crazy idea what she wanted to do. Then the wife, Ku, allegedly used special forces to pressure Zhang into leaving her job. Then Zhang was fired from the broadcasting station. She was then detained at the Dalian Nanshan Hotel, where it was said that she tried self-harm multiple times. It was shortly after that where she mysteriously disappeared. Not only that, but all data and videos about anchor Zhang was deleted, completely erased from everything. And I believe there is no videos except these very few photos of her on the internet. She went missing in the 90s, 1998, so obviously internet wasn't as developed back then, so it was probably very easy to erase certain materials. The fact that her identity was completely erased must have taken a lot of power. It wasn't until 14 years later in 2012 when there was a new famous body show exhibition. Now this showcases real human bodies and animals only taking their muscles and organs and kind of trying to educate the public. I think I've been to one when I was very young as well. I remember going to some kind of body exhibition show. I think a lot of you guys probably have. It's still up and running in certain cities. It's been viewed by millions of people around the world. They say that this show is so popular that it gains millions of dollars in revenue. In my personal opinion, I think it's very educational, although it could be pretty freaky trying to look inside of how our body works. But at the end of the day, like, you and I are made of this, like muscles and organs, and I think it's great to be educated and really see it in real life. The way they make these bodies is really interesting because they go through something called pasteurization. They must carefully strip away the body's fat and moisture, leaving only the muscular and organ systems. This process was first developed by von Hagens. The problem with this pasteurization and how von Hagens started this is very controversial because a lot of people say that they don't actually know where these bodies are coming from. A viewer claimed that one of the specimens of the body was a pregnant woman with an actual baby as well. This person claims that it is most likely the missing anchor, Miss Zhang. At first, we all thought that these were donors, people who have died from natural causes or from diseases that consent to having their bodies be put into museums for educational purposes. But come to find out, there were some whistleblowers and people who claimed that these were not bodies of donors, but these were bodies of executed prisoners and other bodies, God knows where they're from, because there was no name that was connected to each bodies. And it's an ethical question to ask if we really don't know who these bodies are from. Is that right? right or wrong? Now, one of the factories that started this pasteurization process was in Dalian, China. And according to people who worked there, this place was so secured and like the security was so tight that not everybody could just go in there. Again, Zhang being from Dalian, she was a Dalian reporter, and the mayor being a mayor of Dalian, and the factory being in Dalian, it started to connect a lot of mysteries for netizens. There was this one man at the documentary interview who claimed that he used to work in one of these factories. He says that a truck came in full of bodies. The problem with that is there was no name or identity attached to each body. They said there was just like a mount of body. Then just a lot of workers started the process of plastering, and he even claims that he saw pregnant women there sometimes. Again, this raised an ethical question: is this right or wrong? Even if they were from executed prisoners or hospitals, is it okay without the consent probably of the person slash family members to be just dumped in this factory to be made into plastered museums where millions of people are gonna watch you? Another man who claimed to have worked in the factory told ABC 2020 News back in 2008 that he knew that the factories used executed prisoners and others who were not consented to this process, and that it was actually a lot of black market bodies. Due to so many speculation, the German police actually interviewed and investigated von Hagens. In the investigation report, von Hagens admitted to have saying that he did see some of the bodies having bullet holes in their heads, and later found out that they were executed prisoners. But when he found out, the bodies were cremated and they were not used for museums. According to the documentary, in Dalian, China, especially back then, they were known to use illegal executions to the prisoners, and one of the methods used was a bullet to the head, which further sparked the speculations. They also say that in Chinese law, those who are under 18 and pregnant during court process cannot be executed. So people say that the pregnant woman was most likely not a prisoner, again leading to, is this Ms. Zhang? And here is the most shocking information to the netizens that just puts the nail in the wall. Is that even a word? So the head leader of this factory in Dalian, China was Miss Ku. Yes, indeed, the mayor's wife. I mean, could there be any more coincidences here? But let's talk about, is there evidence, any evidence or piece of information that could lead Zhang to this plastered woman? Now, professionals tried to evaluate the pictures of the pregnant woman and the baby. Looking at the size of the fetus, the stomach, and other areas, the professional concluded that this woman was around 8 months pregnant. This theory blew up so much in China and Taiwanese media that von Hagens had to release a statement that this pregnant woman was a Chinese friend of his wife back then who gave the permission to donate her body. People are suggesting what kind of pregnant woman would have known that she was going to pass away while pregnant to give that kind of permission. He did not reveal the identity of the woman, leading to even more of a speculation. Not only in China, but von Hagen was accused of using bodies illegally from other countries where bodies could be from prisoners, hospitals, psychiatric asylums. I mean, who knew where they were from? Von Hagens and the team still claim that they did get permission from all the donors, but do say that maybe their families haven't been alerted about this donation. Later in 2013, former Mayor Bo was convicted of bribery and embezzlement. He was sentenced to life in prison. The wife, Miss Ku, was convicted of murdering an Englishman who was a former business partner in 2012, and she was sentenced to prison as well. After the powerful family have been stripped away from their power due to this corruption, the mystery of Zhang surfaced on the internet, and it remains a mystery today because we will technically never know if this was actually Ms. Zhang or just some other innocent victim. I did find somewhere or read somewhere that they can possibly do some kind of a DNA, but because the body has gone through already a harsh chemical processes, it's not 100% sure, but they can extract something from the body and try to match it to a living family member of Ms. Zhang. But I believe as of right now, there is no petition or there is no one from the family that came forward that really wanted this done. So I believe believe those kind of testings have never been started. I really like how the SBS documentary concluded saying that they hope that actually Ms. Zhang is alive even till this day, that she had her beautiful child and lived a secret, private life, just away from, you know, whatever trouble that she was in. A lot of people say if this revenge theory or mystery is true, I mean, it is unimaginably cruel. Even if someone did something wrong to you, to have their bodies plasterized, put in front of millions of people to see without their consent is just mind-blowing. Von Hagen's and other body exhibits have been in a hot topic throughout the years because these bodies were also sold to other museums for a profit. Now to have their bodies being sold for a profit for museums, it just disturbed a lot of people. So what do you guys think? Is there too many coincidences here? Will there be even truth one day? We really don't know. But I also side with SBS documentary that I am hoping that she just wanted to live a quiet, secret life and she's still alive somewhere today. If you enjoyed this case, remember to hit the like button. It really helps this channel out a lot and encourages me to continue creating these contents. See you guys on my next video. What if your government was able to monitor your every single move, from the supermarket to walking down the street, from a crowded subway, anytime you were outside, just by a high-tech CCTV face recognizing system? It sounds pretty great in a way. I mean, you could track the bad guys, the murderers, the thieves, the scammers. I mean, to really protect our society or those who have ran away, someone that you want to find. This is a story of China's Bonnie and Clyde, where Bonnie was found 20 years later through a face recognition system, and the AI recognized the fugitive's face even 20 years later. But will this AI system be helpful to humanity or harmful? And do you think the Chinese version of Bonnie's life should be spared or not? This case is going to be so wild and so interesting. I have so many questions to ask you guys about what you think. This is Lao Longzi and Fa Ziying. These two individuals met in 1993 when Fa was around 28 years old and Lao only being 19. They had almost a 10-year age gap, and that was a lot, especially back in the 80s and 90s, even in the 2000s, especially in the Asian culture that's not really fond of unless, you know, the guy has maybe, you know, a little bit of, you know, and he's been single all his life. So there are certain conditions to the age gap thing, especially in Asian culture. But regardless, to them, age was just a number and they quickly fell in love. Actually, too quickly. Lao was born in 1974 in Jiangxi province. She was said to have grown up from a pretty normal life. It's not like her parents really struggled for money or like in poverty. She did have 4 other siblings and she was the youngest from 5-sibling family. She was also said to have better grades out of all her siblings, and her classmates remember her as a very innocent, kind-hearted person, and also she was very popular because she was really pretty. You see these photos, she is a very beautiful young lady here. She also never really liked to dress fancy or heavy makeup. She had that innocent image about her, which a lot of Asians like. Later on, she became teachers for the children in her province, and it was a job that really fit her well. It was at her friend's wedding when she met a man named Fa Ziying. Fa was born in 1964 and was said to have grown up from a very poor family. His parents were also sick, and he was the youngest out of 7 children in the family. His family lived in a very poor neighborhood, even selling waste wood to survive. He loved to play sports and hang out with his friends more than he did with school and studying. And Fa's siblings say that they could not control Fa because he just had a fierce, uncontrollable personality since he was very young. At age 15, he started to get into bad behaviors, hanging out with the wrong crowd, and he ran into trouble with the law at only age 15 for robbery. He ended up spending a couple years in jail, in and out, until another serious larceny where he ended up spending 8 years in prison. So majority of his teens and 1920s he spent in prison. Soon after being released, he was able to get married and had a child, and thought that his life was going to finally turn around for something good. Unfortunately, that marriage did not last long, and then that's when he went to a friend's wedding and met Lau. And this is when I believe her eyes just turned and fell in love with the bad boy Fa, who was just the total opposite of her. A little danger seems fun. Fa was literally the definition of your typical bad boy. He's been into prison, he was riding a motorcycle, he was married and divorced and has a kid, he has money where you don't know where it's coming from. You know, again, it seems a little dangerous. She fell in love with Fa's fearless, adventurous soul that she never had. And it was the day of the wedding when Fa invited Lau to take a ride in his motorcycle, and that's when their love started. Once Lau's siblings found out that she was dating Fa, they hated it. They did not like this guy. Again, he's not someone that you want to bring to your parents and be proud of. They didn't want an ex-felon older baby daddy. It was when she was dating Fa when she started to lack in her work. Remember, she was a teacher, but she wasn't really doing that work anymore. She was more focused on her relationship. And her family caught on to that, and they were actually wanting to confront Fa, but Lau was able to stop them and stand up for her bad boy boyfriend. On top of that, it was said that Lau tried to start her own business, and she herself started to struggle with money. They say you can tell a person's life by just looking at their friends and who they hang out with. Throughout their relationship, Lau started to see Fa getting into more trouble, such as getting into fights. But according to others, this turned her on even more and started to fall into devious ways herself. Eventually, she decided to run away from home with Fa. By this time, Lau was around 22 years old and they needed money for some reason. She didn't want to work for money. I think she saw how easy Fa was getting his money. Lau started to work at certain karaoke's and hostess bars, and their plan was to lure in men and rob them. It was said that Lau was actually very good at her job. I mean, she was beautiful. She had that confidence and something that a lot of these hostess bar men look for. I mean, a young, a pretty girl with confidence coming to talk to you, who would reject? Their first victim was a married man who was said to be quite rich. We're gonna call him victim A. One day, Lau asked her victim to come to her home and fix her AC system. Once the victim came over to the apartment, this is when Fa immediately threatened the victim with a knife, tied him up, and stole his jewelry and cash. Come to find out, A did not have a lot of things with him and they were not satisfied with what he had. So Fa would threaten the victim to tell their address so that they could actually physically go there and steal whatever it was in their house. Victim A did not cooperate because Victim A was married and had a kid, and he was afraid that Fa would do something to his own family. Fa's mentality was that if you are not going to give me the address, well, I'll find out no matter what. And he ended up maliciously killing Victim A. You can tell this Bonnie and Clyde couple did not care. They had no mercy, and if you didn't comply, they had no problem ending their life. Then the couple took A's body parts and went to A's family home where his wife and daughter was waiting. They ended up stealing around $25,000 in cash and valuables, and then proceeded to end the family's lives as well, the wife and their daughter. There was no explanation of why they did this. Did the couple pre-plan to already end the victim's family's lives, or were they not cooperating, or did they feel like they were witnesses so they didn't want to keep them alive? When the police was investigating this case, they did get tips and clues on who the suspect might be, and they were actually looking into hostess bars and karaoke's. In one of these clubs and bars that the police had their eyes on, they saw that one of the employees were not coming to work. And this employee was under the name Jin. Police soon found out that Jin was a fake identity and the real woman was Lau Rongsi. She was working under a fake identity all along, something so not a girl like Lau, a beautiful, innocent, humble background girl, would ever do. Lau and Fa were wanted by the police and they fled to another province. So after about a year, the fugitive couple decided to go back to how they were getting that quick cash. In 1997, Lau told Pha that one of her co-workers at the karaoke seemed to have some valuables. So one night, the couple secretly followed victim B to her apartment and again started to threaten her. Once she was threatened, B claimed that she did not have any cash at home and that it was all in her bank. Now, she would give her bank information, but to please spare her life. This is when Pha made a really weird exchange. He told B that if she was to call another friend that could help, another friend that had more money than her, then they would spare her life. So with a life and death decision, B had no choice but to call her coworker, who was a 29-year-old victim C. What would you guys do in this situation when you're being threatened with life and death and you have no choice but to pick one person to bring to your own home so that you could save yourself? It is an unimaginable thing what probably B was going through. C eventually ended up coming over, and again she was tied up and threatened. Now both of these girls said that they did not have any money and gave them their bank card. Pha stayed with the girls while Lau went to the bank to pull out money. Once Lau gave the green light to her boyfriend that she pulled out all the money, this is when Pha, with no questions asked, proceeded to kill both B and C. Of course, after this, the couple fled to another province. In 1998, the couple lured in another man named L. The same tactic as the first victim, where Lau lures in men and Pha just startles the victims. Once inside, Pha threatened the victims and victim L gave his car keys, which he said that there were some cash. They did take the cash, but it was so little that they were not satisfied. He once again threatened L to call his wife and tell him to bring money for emergency reasons. So the victim pretended to call his wife, saying that it was an emergency and he just really needed the money and that he will be meeting her at the bus stop. The next morning, his wife was to meet Elle at the bus stop, but it wasn't her husband, it was a random female, which of course ended up being Lau. So once she walked into the apartment and was trapped, she saw her husband tied up, begging for his life. For some particular reason, Pha ended up letting this couple go. He did say if you do call the police, he's going to find them and end their life. We don't know the reason, but Pha did spare their lives. According to the survivors, Pha and Lau did not communicate that much when they were doing the act. It meant that they practiced this so many times. It meant that they were so in tune with each other. They knew what to do just by looking at each other in their eyes. In 1999, in another province, the couple again used their old tricks to lure in men, but this time, it was going to get even crazier and darker and another level. They actually bought a small cage that was supposed to be used for animals and put it inside their apartment. They also bought a fridge, whatever the reason that was going to be for. Again, in another nightclub that Lau started to work at, she successfully lured in a CEO. He was the boss of his own company and his name was Pha. Same thing, when the victim walked into the trap, Pha surprised the victim, and this time he put Pha inside of that animal cage. But this victim, Pha, had a different attitude than the other victims. It seemed like he was not scared of the suspects. He wasn't giving like the other victims, and Pha was having a very hard time getting money out of him. Now Pha told Pha that he actually was not a rich man. He didn't have a lot of money and he had to borrow it from someone else. So he started to call up all his friends, and supposedly the people that he called up rejected the offer to lend him some money. So the couple were actually getting pretty frustrated because, you know, the more phone calls that you do, the more chance there is that people will pick up that there's something wrong with their friend and call the police. The crazy part about this is that the victim told Pha that he actually did not believe that he was gonna kill him. And Pha got really angry. He got so angry that he wanted to show Pha that he was indeed capable of this. So to show an example to the victim, Pha went outside and got a random man who ended up being a carpenter and lured him in, saying that, hey, I got some work that you could do at my apartment. Could you come in for a second? So this innocent carpenter ended up being lured in and trapped inside this house. And immediately when he walked in front of Pha, Pha maliciously started to stab the carpenter. After watching this, Hua finally started to kind of fear for his life and thought that he was really in a dangerous situation. So he called his wife and asked her to bring some money. Hua's wife picked up the fact that her husband would never borrow money or tell her to bring money. So she knew something was up. She knew his voice was weird, he was not coming home, and she called the police. While talking on the phone numerous times, the wife gave Hua an excuse of why she couldn't pull out the money fast enough, it's not really working, and she was just trying to buy some time. So next morning at 9 a.m., the wife was supposed to bring the money to a specific hotel that they arranged. Fa went out to get the money and the wife never came. The next day, they arranged another time to meet up and Fa went out and didn't see the wife, and he was getting very frustrated. He wanted that money. So not being able to wait, Fa decided to go to Hua's apartment. Now by this time, the police were aware and the wife knew that she was in a dangerous position, and she was able to flee with her child to another safe location, knowing that the victims might be coming to her home. Before Fa left to Hua's apartment, he did feel like there is a risk of him getting caught. So he told Lau that if he did not come back by nighttime, it is most likely because he was arrested and that she needs to kill Hua in revenge and flee as fast as she can. Fa went inside Hua's apartment looking for valuables, and that's when police acted very quickly to try and catch the fugitive. Multiple police were waiting outside of the window and in front of Hua's apartment door, and that's when Fa was confronted by the police, but he was not giving up. Fa was just not cooperating, and the police had no choice but to bomb the door, and that's when finally Fa was arrested. The story goes that allegedly, since Fa did not return by nighttime, somehow Lau ended up killing Hua, and just before she fled, she ended up leaving a note that said, "Honey, I'm gonna flee as you told me to. I'll wait for you. I love you." Hua unfortunately was found dead inside of that apartment, and Lau was nowhere to be seen. When Fa was in custody, he never cooperated with them much. He didn't tell them details. Allegedly, when Fa heard that Lau was able to escape, that was one of the rare moments when Fa gave a smile to the police, as if he was really proud of his fugitive girlfriend. Fa was eventually sentenced to the firing squad in 1999. Lau fled to a new location, and she decided to go on with the quiet, anonymous life, living in someone else's identity, and one of the fake name was Sherry. For those 20 years that she went on to live her free, quiet life up to 2019, it was said that even her clients describe her as someone very gentle. She was good at her work. Again, she was very pretty. She knew how to talk to customers, make them come back. She was fun, and she was just someone like feel good to hang around with, especially in the night scene. And her coworkers and friends, those who know her as Sherry, just cannot imagine her doing anything bad because she just does not give off that vibe. According to this blog, they also say that she got some plastic surgery in order to hide from the police. She also took only public transportations and refused to go on any vacations outside of the province. Throughout the 20 years, she did date and she did have a couple boyfriends. In 2019, she met a client named Kay. They ended up dating each other, and Kay owned a watch shop in a shopping mall. On December 2019, Lau was asked by her boyfriend Kay to watch over his watch shop because he could not be there. She agreed, and she was walking around this mall, which little did she know that there was CCTV everywhere. These CCTV actually had a face recognition AI technology, and the police within hours were able to evaluate the AI system, and the AI system said that the face of this 47-year-old woman was 97.33% match of the wanted criminal, 27-year-old Lau. She was taken into custody, and at first she denied it, saying that what the hell is this AI system? That's not me. But only a day later, she did confess that indeed she was Lau Rongzi. During the trial of Lau claimed that she was partially innocent because she actually was the victim of Fa, just like the others. Her side of the story goes that when she was dating Pho, she was being treated like a prisoner. She allegedly faced physical abuse, forced to give up her unborn child, and was forced to obey his orders or else. She feared that if she did not comply to Pho, that her own family would be in trouble because she knew what he was capable of. She also claimed that she was never present during the actual killings and only the robbery part. She testified in court saying that she was a gentle, kind person and can't even hurt an animal. Her family also claimed that, they cannot see their younger sister ever doing something like this, and that she had to be a victim of Pho's mastermind because this is not possible for their innocent daughter. Lau also said something really weird and controversial. She claimed that she was very sorry to the victims. She doesn't have any money to compensate the victims, so that she will start a crowdfunding instead. Kind of like a GoFundMe for the victims. Why should the public have to pay for her crimes? For the victims that the public had nothing to do with. But is this true? Was she really a victim of the mastermind Pho? Because that is totally possible. She was only 19, an age where you're very naive, you don't know what you're doing, and falling into someone that much older, he could have been very well be using her and her innocence, which I do believe partially is true. The thing is, there is no evidence to back up Lau's claims. Not only that, it was 20 years ago. What evidence would really be there? One thing the court said was that, well, why didn't she run away? There were so many chances. Lau was in charge of taking the money and running away. So it was partially true that she wasn't really present during the times when Pho was ending the lives of the victims. So why did Lau go to the safe place that the couple managed for themselves? Why did she not run away? Why did she not call the police herself? Was she really that naive and innocent herself?
One thing that was still debatable was if Lau actually killed Hua in revenge. I believe in one of the statements Lau claimed that Pho killed Hua before he left the apartment, so the story does go back and forth. I don't know if there was solid evidence out there for the court to prove who did this, but at the end, the court did not believe her.
The judges did not believe Lau's excuses, and they ended up sentencing her to death. But she has appealed recently. And the latest update is that the appeal is still going on. So we don't know what will happen. It's a really confusing case because it is possible what Lau is claiming, that she was so young and that she was manipulated. She was gaslighted by her mastermind boyfriend. She was a smart student. She was a teacher. How could something go so wrong with such a beautiful lady like that? So 1% part of me does say that maybe Pho was such a good manipulator that he was able to turn someone like her into the worst fugitives ever. But according to the story and the memos and the love letters that Lau left for Pho, it did seem like both of them were willingly participating in this relationship, and that it was truly close to more of Bonnie and Clyde, a business romance relationship, and they were both doing it willingly because they needed the money. The question also is, what do you guys think about this AI facial recognition system? The fact that an artificial intelligence system is able to literally capture your every single move and know who you are till the day you die. They were able to match this person's face 20 years older. So this AI system is not a joke. It's pretty correct if they were able to do this. But does this take away our freedom? They're already doing this in China and maybe some other countries. So not sure if this will be a much beneficial thing or whatnot. Let me know what you guys think. My light just turned off. I've been filming for so long. Remember to hit the like button, which helps out my channel so much, and hit that noti bell because if you're an early bird, I reply to all my early birds live watching my videos with you guys whenever it is uploaded. See you guys in my next video. This is one of Japan's greatest unsolved mysteries. It's still a huge question on how the victim ended up in the squat toilet. The victim and the family still deserve justice even after all these years, and I'm going to be asking you guys what you think really happened. Did he get in there himself, or did someone put him there? So this is one of the first Japanese unsolved mysteries that I've ever done. This is just one of a kind that no one can solve at this point. It was a Sunday evening in Japan in a village called Miyakoji. I believe this is in the Fukushima area of Japan. And we all know Fukushima is pretty known for their nuclear power plant and the nuclear accident that happened in 2011. On this particular evening, an elementary school teacher named Yumi Tanaka was going to use the outside bathroom near her female dormitory. She was a 23-year-old who just came back to her dorms after a couple days of holidays, and apparently I believe it was like the election holidays, so people had like a week off. Now this particular bathroom outside was a squatting toilet, and this was actually still a thing today. Even in Korea, they still have squatting toilets. I hate using them. I personally think it stinks a bit more. It's just awkward squatting. I just think it splashes more, if you know what I mean. So I'm not sure if she actually used the bathroom and then she looked down and saw this, or if it was right when she was going to use the bathroom. But anyway, she squatted down, looked down into the pit, and saw a pair of shoes. This gave her an eerie feeling and decided to check the other side of the squatting toilet, which is the septic tank area. So on the other side of the toilet, the sanitary truck will come, take the lid off, and then suction out all the waste that was collected over the months. She took this lid off. This is when she saw a human feet. She freaked out, of course, and she proceeded to call the police. When the police came, they realized that there was someone inside the septic tank, and they already knew that this person passed away. They tried to pull the man out, but because the septic tank was so tight and small, they had to call firefighters and professionals to actually take and excavate the whole septic tank out in order to pull this human. And I believe they had to cut the tube in order to take this man out. Eventually, the man was identified as a 26-year-old Kano Naoyuki. He worked as a salesman in a subcontracting job for a nuclear power plant. He was found in a cradle position facing up. He had no top clothing on, had his pants on, but was barefoot, and he was hugging onto his neatly folded jacket. When they took Kano's body to examine, of course, he was full of waste, and they say that the smell was so unbearable that he had to be cleaned about 2 times just for proper autopsy. The autopsy results concluded that he most likely died of hypothermia and compression of vessels and nerves from being in a confined place. Now remember, this happened in February, and they say that February in Japan is freezing cold, and I believe it also snowed during that week, so especially underground in a metal tube sitting there for a couple days, yes, it would have been very, very extremely cold. As you can see, this tank is U-shaped and it's very narrow. The toilet's side entrance was 20 centimeters or 7.8 inches, with about 125 centimeters, length of the tube 60 centimeters, max height of 50 centimeters. The entrance of the septic tank is 36 centimeters or only 14 inches. This is very, very tight, especially for a grown man to be stuck inside. Professionals say the only way he could have gone in was through the septic opening and not obviously the toilet side. Through the autopsy, they found that Kano only had minor injuries like scratches, and that there was no other significant damages such as broken bones or anywhere that was bleeding heavily. With only minor scratches like this, professionals believe that this indicates that Kano himself went in there and he wasn't really forced inside. Professionals agree, saying that if he was forced inside by someone else, he would definitely have a lot more injuries. The biggest mystery is, how did Kano get in this tiny little tube? He was 5'7", and his family and friends say that he had a very healthy figure. He was a 26-year-old, and as you could see in the pictures, family also say that he had a pretty good shoulder length, and apparently average Japanese man has 16 inches of shoulder length. In order to see if this was even possible to put yourself in there, there was a documentary crew who did a 3D simulation and put a real-life version of how this tank would have looked like in real life. And as you can see, it is small. It is very small. The simulation did show that if he did went in there by himself, this is how he would have entered, with hands first, and then twisted himself and tucked his legs in somehow. And he probably tucked his legs in because it was so cold. Some people might be asking, well, what if he died before he went in and someone forced him in there? But professionals believe that, again, if he did pass away before he went into the septic tank, he will have a lot more injuries because technically people would have to shove him in there. Another really weird thing is, remember, he was found with no top on and he was hugging his jacket, which means he took off his jacket in order to go in there purposely. Now, how did he even fold the jacket neatly according to the police, especially in this tight place? Like, how did he even move his hands around to like fold his jacket like that? I don't know. I am thinking that he took off his top, his jacket, threw the jacket in there first and then put himself in, and then somehow hugged the jacket in and then neatly folded it. Here's a really crazy information that I'm going to be talking about a little bit more later, but when the firefighter came to the scene with an excavator, he remembers the septic tank already being broken into by another company or another excavator. Now he says that the doctors then took the body to a nearby office to cleanse him with water and then had a look at his body, which is obviously a very unprofessional way. We don't know why someone would act this way, especially in a possible murder case, homicide case, but we still till this day don't know who instructed these doctors and the septic tank people to come in and act this way. Another clue was that police found his car with the keys inside pretty much far away from the septic tank where he was found. But with his car keys inside, it could have indicated that he was not planning to go far. He was definitely planning to come back, but something happened along the way that made him never return to his car. Another clue was that, remember, only one of the shoe was found inside the septic tank, and his second shoe was actually found in a nearby dike, which was pretty bit far away from the toilet. So that could indicate to me that definitely he was running from his car, and he ran all the way from his car to this dike, lost his shoe, ran back to the female dormitory, and somehow hid there. Now here are some of the theories that people suggest what could have happened and some more clues. Now number one, this is a bit of a far-fetched one in my opinion, but this is what the police ruled at first. The first theory by the police was that he went in there on purpose to peep on females. As you guys know, there's a lot of cases of peeping toms. Could he have gone in there drunk one night and decided to do this? But of course, who in their right mind would get inside dirty feces, a dark and a cold tube? But again, some people were saying maybe he was drunk, maybe he was on something. I don't know how easy accessible drugs would be back in the 80s in Japan. The second theory that's kind of related to the first theory is that maybe he had claustrophilia, which is the opposite of claustrophobia. Apparently this is when you feel a satisfaction of being in small spaces. Of course, with these two theories, the family and friends were very upset at the police because they knew Kano as to be such a hardworking, amazing guy who had a lot of talents, and he was a very outgoing, spoken person, and they cannot believe that he would do any of this. And the third theory was that he was being targeted by his co-workers or someone in the political field. So in this political theory, 10 days before Kano's death, there was a political election. I believe this election was for the mayor position, and back then apparently in Japan, you were able to buy votes, which is obviously cheating, and Kano knew about this. Kano was a man who really believed in fairness, and once he found out about buying votes and all the corruptions going inside, he decided to not support the mayor anymore. And Kano was on the side of not having any nuclear power plants in Fukushima because he knew the dangers that it would have among the people. But some people, including this mayor that he was supporting, wanted the nuclear power plant because it would help create jobs and to power the city. Now people believe that there was high tension between the people who wanted the nuclear power plant and people who didn't, and it caused a big tension between the members. And some people believe that Kano knew something about this team and some kind of secret or an action that he was going to take to try and bring down the mayor and election. Elections were very important according to these people because it moved the big money and power, of course. Going back a couple days before Kano actually went missing, on the 24th of February, he had a work dinner gathering, and some believe that during this work gathering, this is when something happened, such as they were sharing certain information or some kind of disagreement or something went on. On the 25th of February, he left the house telling his father that he will be back soon after some errands. And this is when he never came back home. Forensic professionals believe that he died on the 26th and was discovered on the 28th. Really interesting clue is that the driver of the excavator truck that came to take out the pipes that came before the firefighter was called was revealed to be one of the main supporters of the mayor. So this theory suggests that someone or some team wanted to get rid of someone like Kano that was against their ideas.
But for those who don't believe in this theory, they question how can one man, a young 26-year-old, ever try to even bring down a mayor or a whole team? Maybe he couldn't bring down a whole team but overheard a certain secret. That could be possible. But then again, Kano wasn't in a high position or anything, so it is odd that someone would even try to bring this young man down.
Later, the election ended up winning with the pro-nuclear side. There's also a strange incident that happened 2 months before Kano's death that could be related to Kano. So another man who was working at the nuclear facility noticed a strange faulty vibration. I'm not really sure how nuclear power plants work and things like that, but apparently he noticed some kind of vibration that could cause a really big trouble or some kind of explosion in the facilities. Now this man reported this incident to the higher authorities, and supposedly 3 days later he died by jumping onto the trains. And just 2 days after this man died, that's when this extremely dangerous nuclear leakage happened. So how does this connect to Kano's death? Basically, some believe that within the nuclear department, these 2 men might have heard or knew about a certain secret and had to be wiped out in order to hide something from the mass public. The last theory involves the woman that found Kano, the elementary school teacher. After all, this teacher's fiance was the son of the election campaign strategist. Supposedly, all of them were good friends, the elementary school teachers, the fiance, and Kano. And actually, the teacher was receiving an harassment call from an anonymous for a while, and Kano was trying to help this teacher to find out who this anonymous caller was, and they actually reported it to the police because they were able to get the recording of whoever this harassment person was. And it was rumored that Kano found out who the harasser was just before his death, and this harasser just wanted to get rid of Kano. There's also some rumors about the elementary school teacher and just about how she found Kano, because it was an evening apparently and it was really dark, and some people say like you don't really look inside the dark pit because it's dirty, it's smelly, and why would you look down there, especially at night, because it could be scary. And just the fact that because she saw a shoe, she went outside to look inside the septic tank is something that not normal people would really think. Because if it was me, I would be like, oh, there's a shoe inside. Okay, someone accidentally put it in there. I'm not gonna go outside and take the lid off and then see what happened. So, I mean, would you guys have done that? Maybe, maybe not. And how was it that in this pretty much public bathroom that a lot of people use, what are the odd chances that herself who knew Kano discovered him? But anyway, at the end of the day, whatever the theories are, there's still really eerie questions about how Kano put himself in there. Number one, I feel like it's really weird how the shoe was found in the toilet side, meaning above his head. Did he like grab his shoe from down there and then put it inside? I mean, why would he have done that? The only way I believe the shoe would have been there is if someone put it in there. Like someone just was able to get a shoe and put it inside the toilet area and just left him for dead. Was he running away? If so, why didn't he run away to somewhere else? Why did he have to put himself inside this toilet? Some people believe that there had to be a second person holding Kano's leg in order for him to successfully put himself in there without any injuries. So could there have been another person? Now Kano's mother, who is actually still alive till this day, she claims that back when this happened, she even went to a psychic to see what could have happened. And the only thing that the psychic told her was that he did not do this to himself. But they don't know anything outside of that information. Kano's father was so desperate, he even read all the books that he can about crime in order to solve his son's mystery one day. My personal 2 cents is that I do believe that he did crawl in there himself. Rather he did it willingly, or rather someone forced him to, like told him to do this or he's gonna get killed. Why he had to hide in that particular spot, we don't know. Maybe it was just a terrible mistake that he thought of in a split second because of survival reasons. One way to help these cases, and especially my channel, is to hit the like button so that the algorithm will hit and more people will know about these cases and these victims that we should never forget about. And also, if you hit the notification bell, I reply to all my early birds. If you want to reply from me, hit the notification bell. Thank you guys so much for watching, and see you in my next video. Kim Jong-nam. Does that name sound familiar? And I'm sure it does. It kind of sounds like Kim Jong-un, which you guys have all heard about, who is the current leader of North Korea. This has been one of the most highly talked about cases when talking about North Korea, as it's suspected that the leader wanted to get rid of his own blood brother. Or did he get assassinated? Or was this all a setup by himself, faking his own death? I mean, there's a lot of weird theories about this. Were the people involved really innocent or in on all of this? You guys know what time it is. It is quick fashion and crime time. Look at my little outfit, you guys. Cute. This corset top that I have, I just think matched it with my bear earrings and then my sapphire necklace, and I'm ready for crime today. Talking about safety, you might be thinking, well, how did Kim Jong-nam, who is like literally the blood brother of Kim Jong-un, even get caught in the first place? I mean, it was alleged that he was using Facebook and commercial emails, and that's how he was caught by these spies for the assassination. There's a lot of mystery around North Korea and what goes on behind there, especially the royal family. They're one of the most secretly kept families that there's so many assumptions, so many mysteries surrounding it. So let's talk about Kim Jong-nam, who was born in May 10th of 1971. He was the eldest son of the North Korean leader Kim Jong-il. For a while in the 90s, it was said that he was supposed to be the heir after his father. In total, Kim Jong-il had 6 children, and yes, one of them being Kim Jong-un, the current leader. Kim Jong-nam was born from an affair that Kim Jong-il had. The affair woman / Kim Jong-nam's mother is Kim Hae-rim, who was an actress in North Korea. Now, the family situation is so complicated, I'm not going to get too deep into it, but apparently Kim Jong-il, when he had an affair against his father, which I believe, I might be wrong, but they have almost something like an arranged marriage where the family is kind of given like a choice of women that they pick for them. He eventually went to live out his childhood in Europe, Russia, and Switzerland to be specific until 1988. According to his relatives, they claim that he was gifted with the arts. He loved movies, he loved creating films and things like that, and he had more interest in the arts rather than going after his father's footsteps, which is being the leader of North Korea. It was until May 2001 when Kim Jong-nam was arrested in Japan because he was supposedly trying to enter Japan to go to Tokyo Disney with his family illegally by using a fake passport. And ever since then, after he was caught, it was said that his father just strongly disapproved and had questions that Kim Jong-nam could ever even be the leader because of his, quote, capitalistic views. Now, starting from here, again, Kim Jong-nam lost the favor of the family, and it was deemed that he was unfit to be the next leader. Fast forward to 2010, after Kim Jong-il died, Kim Jong-un was made the next leader of North Korea. Now, ever since then, it was rumored that Kim Jong-nam was on the assassination list by his own brother, Kim Jong-un. We're gonna get to why the brother wanted to kill his own brother in a little bit, but starting from 2012, Kim Jong-nam supposedly wrote a letter to his brother asking to spare his life. It was said that ever since then, Kim Jong-nam had been on the low-key wanting to just live his normal life. So let's fast forward to February 13th of 2017. Kim Jong-nam was spotted in Kuala Lumpur airport in Malaysia traveling alone. It was a fairly busy day at the airport with a lot of people, and they say that usually Kim Jong-nam has a group of bodyguards to protect him because he is such a high-profile person, but actually people say that he's been traveling alone multiple times for a while now. While looking at the plane times on the screen, all of a sudden a woman comes over and puts her hand over his mouth for exactly 2.3 seconds. Next, he alerts the airport staff by saying someone had grabbed me from behind and splashed the liquid on my face. They took him to the airport emergency center, and within a couple minutes you could see him starting to limp his feet. He lost his breath very quickly and finally passed out. 2 hours later, he was pronounced dead. Autopsy showed that they found in his body a highly banned chemical material called VX nerve agent. Again, this chemical has been pretty much banned for a long time all over the world. This is a very powerful chemical that was developed for warfares. It's an oily form, and when entered to the sensitive parts of the skin, like your eyes, nose, mouth, any entering of the skin, someone can die even quickly as within minutes. So the question was, who was behind this in the broad daylight? And why? The suspected criminals seen on CCTV were 2 women, one Indonesian woman named Siti Aisha and a Vietnamese woman named Doen Thi Huong. There was also about 4 more suspects, and they were known to be undercover North Korean Korean men. It was said that somehow they got information that Kim Jong-nam was supposed to arrive in Malaysia February 6th. A couple days prior, these 6 people arrived in Malaysian airport to get ready for this plan. Now, unfortunately, the day that Kim Jong-nam was assassinated on February 13th, the 4 men that was supposed to be in connection fled. So they took a plane right after to unknown places now, and they were never caught. How they got this information that Kim Jong-nam was going to be in Malaysia was supposedly that he was using Facebook, other social media, and commercial emails that made him easy to be tracked. When these 2 women were caught, of course, everyone thought that the evidence was so clear that they were the murderers. But when they were interviewing these 2 women, they had a very shocking story on why they did this. Shockingly, they confessed saying that, wait, I thought we were on a TV prank show. They claimed that they were acting for a hidden camera for YouTube and for Chinese TV. They claimed that they were instructed by these 4 men that they were traveling with who promised them a little bit of spotlight on TV and $100. Both of these females were said to have a dream to become an actress / a celebrity. And you can see on their social medias, on the post prior to this, they had very big interest, and especially in K-pop and the Korean culture. There is even a video of one of the women going on a singing competition show. So it showed that they did have dreams to become a celebrity.
It was said that the men gave them presents, took them to aquariums, karaoke, and even restaurants in order to use the boyfriend strategy to lure them in and gain their trust over time.
They claim that they practiced the prank show 2 months prior up to 7 to 8 times, and usually they were given orange juice or baby oil in order to do these airport pranks. On this particular day of assassination, they thought they were given baby oil again. So basically, on February 13th, these 4 men instructed the girls, hey, we're gonna do this prank show again. There's gotta be an actor, he looks like this with a black backpack, he is bald. You're gonna run up to him, smear this oil on him, and then that's it. The CCTV footage shows that after the attack, the 2 women ran off to the bathroom to wash their hands off and took off in a taxi, which is a very odd behavior knowing that you are in a prank show. Of course, they were eventually arrested and charged with murder. So what was the evidence against them, and were they actually North Korean spies, or did they really think that they were in this prank show and they were innocent victims themselves? They also testified saying that they thought that they were recruited by men who claimed that they were from Japan, Korea. In the previous prank attempts, they were paid even up to $200. And apparently, if you're found guilty of murder in Malaysia, there is a mandatory death sentence. So this is a big, huge case for these girls to prove that they were really not in on this. Both girls pled not guilty, and this is when the trial began. So one of the biggest questions was, if the X-agent was such a deadly chemical weapon, then how did these girls not get affected? There's a lot of theories behind this. It's also very confusing, but they say that the girls were exposed, but they did not get affected because they went to wash their hands right after. Also, low dosage on your hands or the cloth or your bags usually won't affect you as much. I am not a doctor or chemical specialist. This is just what I read, but supposedly the girls themselves weren't affected. One of the girls' friends testified saying that they remember telling them that they've met this rich Korean guy who was offering them a chance to be on their prank show. Because of the girl herself wanted to be an actress and she wanted to have a little bit of spotlight, also getting payments like $100, $200, it didn't sound that bad. Defense also argued that the girl touched her hair before she went on the attack, which indicated that she didn't know that this was a deadly weapon. But there was still a question of how these girls acted after the assassination. For example, if it was a prank show, usually after the prank, you go back to the actor and say, hey, it was a prank, and then there's like a camera over there and you have the staff looking at you laughing. But they just went straight to the bathroom, washed their hands off, and went on a taxi. Like, that's not a normal protocol for a prank show. So what kind of normal prank show were they doing? The LOL shirt was also a controversy, as people thought that this was a message to show their successful mission and a laugh at Kim Jong-nam. I also believe that I heard that one of the girls had a second phone that only used Wi-Fi and no SIM card that was used to talk to the North Korean men. So that was a little suspicious as well. Did the men instruct them to do this and they just innocently thought nothing of it? Or again, did they know about this? Eventually, in the end, Siti Aisyah was released with help of the Indonesian government, and Doan charges were dropped, and she pled to a lesser charge, voluntarily causing hurt by dangerous weapons, and she was sentenced to 3 years and 4 months, but only served a portion of that, and she was released in May 2019. There was also other North Korean men who were arrested, but due to lack of evidence, they were released. Again, the 4 men that was directly involved in this have never been found. Shockingly, one of the girls, Doan, she did an interview to talk about her side and what really happened. According to her, a man named Mr. Y, who again claimed to be that rich Korean guy wanting to give her opportunity, instructed her on how to go about these pranks, and that she would get a lot of attention and would make the show even more funny by doing it even more bigger. And I think that was one of the reasons why she did it so harshly, because full on like snatch right there. In my opinion, that's not just a prank, that's not funny. Even if it was a prank show, that is a harsh thing to do to someone. So I wanted to know a second opinion on this case, whether these girls really knew this or not. So I asked my YouTuber friend Yeonmi. She is a North Korean refugee, and we did a video together a couple months back, and she talked about life in North Korea. It's a really interesting video, so you guys should click on it and watch it after this video. So according to her, in her opinion, she says, I think it is hard to believe that they didn't know, but at the end of the day, that is not the most important question. Even if they knew, I think everyone is a victim. So thank you so much, Yeonmi, for your insight, and that is a very powerful message that at the end of the day, whoever instructed this is the real killer. So let's talk about why. Why would the half-brother want to get rid of your own blood-related family? So there's a couple opinions about this because no one really knows directly why. So it is very well known that Kim Jong-un a couple years ago had his own uncle killed for being accused of counter-revolutionary charges. He was known to be second in power, and while growing up, Han Song-taek was kind of like second father to Kim Jong-nam, and he adored Kim Jong-nam as they were growing up. So some people are saying that maybe the side of the family that just has these counter-revolutionary or capitalistic ideas, family Kim Jong-un just wants to get rid of. I mean, the other theory is that it wasn't North Korea. It wasn't Kim Jong-un. It was some other team, and we don't know. Some say that it's actually America, CIA, who did this, as Kim Jong-un and North Korea just doesn't have interest in their brother anymore. So why would they even be doing this? The other interesting theory is that this whole thing was a faked death assassination by none other than Kim Jong-nam himself. Now this theory came up as the picture that supposedly when Kim Jong-nam passed out in the airport were circulating online. Kim Jong-nam supposedly had a huge tattoo on his belly, and in this photo no tattoo is shown. Some say that this man doesn't even look like Kim Jong-nam, and it's just like a look-alike doppelganger. And we all know a lot of high-power people are known to have doppelgangers or fake lookalikes to kind of act on their behalf sometimes. But of course, again, some people say that the tattoo was above that part of the belly. I don't know, you guys be the judge. Could this really be Kim Jong-nam faking his own death or not? That will be a mystery. Regardless, he leaves behind 4 kids, and his eldest son, Kim Han-sol, is seen in a video that surfaced on YouTube shortly after his father's passing. Some suspect that he is now being protected and working with the CIA. Once in an interview, Kim Han-sol said that he has never met his grandfather and his other family, such as his uncle Kim Jong-un. He says that he wishes to see unifications and for things to be better in North Korea. So that was the story of this crazy event that happened a couple years ago. There's a lot of criticisms about these 2 females, that they were released way too early, that they didn't get the punishment that they deserved, and the fact that they were smiling in front of the cameras when they were released. My personal 2 cents is that I don't think that these girls knew the extent of what they were doing. I know that especially when you're young and you have a dream to be in an entertainment world, there's so many scam artists and so many shady people that I even fell and decided to go with anyone that decided to give me an opportunity when I was younger. So I know how gullible and just stupid you could be in that situation. Yes, I do believe that these spies picked specific girls that were desperate in their situation. Your like on this video helps me out so much to reach out so that these cases will be talked about, not go cold. And I reply to all my early birds, you guys, so hit that notification bell and subscribe so you don't miss any updates, just in case these cases have updates. Thank you so much for watching. What if a kidnapper kidnapped you and just observed you? Not even physically abused you, just observed you, almost like a zoo. This is a wild case of an educated young man who ended up kidnapping a girl just to observe her from a distance, who is now considered just weird and creepiest criminal that you'll probably ever hear. I'm still very confused to why he has done what he has done, and you guys be the part judge today on trying to dissect this man. This story actually reminds me a little bit about a movie that I heard about where this man just put a bunch of people in his basement and just observed them just to see what they would do and just psychologically how it would affect them, how they would interact with other people inside that, you know, small basement that he had. I guess there's some kind of a creepy thing about observing something without in the typical mind, oh, they're gonna abuse them or do something bad to them. No, just to see what they would do. It's like a weird corner that I've never really explored before. So this case I learned from Diva Jessica's video. She's a very popular Korean true crimes reporter, and I could not find any English true crime reporters that did this video. This is Anna Saito, which is like Jane Doe name to protect the real name of the girl. She was 13 years old back in 2014. She was known to be a bright, beautiful girl. As you see in this photo, she's very pretty, kind, and listened to her parents well. She was just in middle school and she lived in the Osaka city. Her parents say she had many hobbies, including ballet. It was March 10th, 2014, when Anna usually returns from school around 4 to 5 p.m. But when her parents returned home, she was nowhere to be found, and they found this letter supposedly written by Anna inside of their post box. I want to take a break from school and home. Don't find me. Remember, this is a 13-year-old kid who has never run away from home, never really gave much trouble to their parents, all of a sudden writing you this letter. But nevertheless, it seems like the parents were first questioning themselves like, oh my god, what did I do to my child? Did we do something that triggered this 13-year-old to run away? Of course, the parents right away called their friends, school, anywhere she could be to find out where Anna could have gone. And when they didn't find her, they finally reported to the police that night. There was absolutely no information of where she could have been, so they made this poster with her information on it in hopes that anybody would see her. She was 155 centimeters, 40 kilograms, and it seems like she wore her school uniform just before she went missing. There was only one tip, which was a neighbor who claims to have seen Anna the day she went missing talking to a young man who looked like he was in his late teens, like 18, 19 to early 20s. But there was no other information, and Anna literally just vanished into the thin air. But on the 9th day, they received a letter which seemed like it was written by Anna's handwriting. The letter stated, "I'm doing fine. I'm sorry for causing a lot of stress. Don't find me." This letter had a stamp on it which seemed like it was from a town called Chiba that was less than 20 miles away from Anna's house. Again, the letter did not seem like it was genuinely Anna's words. Police tried to look as best as they can in the Chiba town, and again, they didn't find anything, nobody who has seen anything, so they partially thought that maybe Anna really did run away, and maybe she was lured in by this older guy who promised her things, you know, turned her away from her parents, which is actually very common, especially in the internet age. I mean, definitely when I was younger, I was always upset at my parents. I mean, who isn't? It feels like no one could understand your world. Definitely many times I was tempted to run away as well. So I'm sure this has happened to many of you guys, right? But if Anna was to run away, she would have taken her essentials. She would have taken her clothes, her wallet, her toothbrush, like at least something. But she took none of that, which led the police to believe that it was most likely a kidnapping case. First couple hours to 48 hours are the most crucial time, and the more time that it passes, the less likely that the person is found alive. Now was marking almost the 2-year anniversary since Anna went missing. The class that she was supposed to graduate, the middle school, even held a graduation ceremony with the honor of her, as she was supposed to be in that class with them. with very little hope, but the parents always, of course, believing that their child would come back home. 2 years later, the parents got a surprising call, which was Anna herself calling her parents saying that she was alive. Anna's mother received a call from a public telephone, and it was Anna indicating that again she was alive and well, and her parents asked her where was she and if she was alone. She told them that she was alone and she was at a payphone near a train station. She was instructed to call the police right away. She did, and she was found wearing light clothing and sandals, and this happened in like the middle of the winter. Thankfully, it was reported that actually she was found in good health. There was no signs of visible injuries. According to some people that have witnessed this, she actually came back to her parents smiling, waving, seeming like she was truly okay, which is not something that you would think of when you find a kidnapped victim that comes home 2 years later to your home. By now, Anna was 15, 16 years old. She was like a full-grown teenager. So what happened within the 2 years, and why was she seemingly okay? Now, of course, after she went back to her parents, she told the authorities that her kidnapped captor is a man named Kabu Terauchi. He was immediately put under the wanted list, and Kabu, once he came home and saw that his captive was gone, he panicked, freaked, and left. The next day, very early in the morning, a paper delivery man saw this gentleman who was walking around with blood all over his body. The young man told him that he got into a car crash and needed help. So the man called for help, and he ended up going to the hospital. He was in stable condition, he was okay, but of course they would find out that this man was Kabu Terauchi, who was wanted all over. And of course, we later found out that he was actually trying to self-harm himself, and he did not get into a car crash. Kabu Terauchi, back in 2014, was a 23-year-old young man who attended a prestigious university in Japan. Not only that, but he even went to the US to get a pilot license, or went to a pilot school, and supposedly his friends called him Pilot. And here is his actual Facebook, where he posted many photos of him being inside of a plane, taking lessons and things like that. I mean, if you see these photos, I mean, he seems literally like the quietest kid, where people who know how to fly planes, like they're known to be free-spirited, they're known to be a little bit wealthy, to take all those classes, which turned out to be true. His family actually came from a well-off background. His father worked at a company that makes crime prevention items, such as extra door security stuff, you know, things to block off crime and things like that, which is ironic itself. And the business has been running for over 60 years. And his parents were able to provide and support him as much as he wanted, including, you know, taking pilot lessons, going to prestigious colleges, living on his own at that age. And of course, we learn and find out that he used his father's items from his company to aid him in his crimes. According to his classmates, they describe him as pretty quiet, who seemed normal and nothing out of the ordinary, and again excelled in academics. Although in high school, people remember that he specifically fell in love with this anime called The Melancholy of Haruhi Suzumiya. Ironically, the title in Korean of this anime is called The Depression of Haruhi. Some called him an otaku, as he seemed more on the quiet side, always on his computer. Otaku is someone who is almost obsessed with anime or some kind of a manga culture. They also love to immerse themselves in computers, games, and have more of a very closed, small social cycle or life. Cases like this in Japan always sparks the debate of, does the otaku, or having extreme love and obsession with certain mangas and anime, contribute to their crimes? And I personally believe that people who would act upon negative things will do it regardless they love or are obsessed with mangas or not. So the truth of what happened during those 2 years is even more creepier. So the day that Anna went missing, she was coming back home from school, and she was actually in front of her house. As she was about to go in, Kabu stopped her and told Anna that he was actually a lawyer. Kabu was able to lure her in because he knew the full name and address of her. Now, how he got this is a bit of mystery, but police are saying that he did extensive research and stalking before he actually acted upon it. He told her that her parents were getting a divorce all of a sudden and that they told him, the lawyer, to take care of her meanwhile. As you could see, Anna was such an innocent child and such a kind child in a way that backfired on her that she did believe him. She got into the car of Kabu, and that's when he again changed his attitude. He started to tell her a different story, telling her that actually, I'm trying to save you. Your parents were actually trying to sell you and like kill you and take your organs and sell it to the black market. I even have a recording of your parents talking about it. And supposedly he showed her a recording of her parents talking about her and trying to sell her organs. Now this recording sounded a bit off, which later turns out to be a voice manipulating some kind of app on their phone. And she probably didn't really believe in it, but all the fear and confusion when you're that young and this unknown guy like feeding you these stories, it is so easy to manipulate a child. Anna was then taken into Kabu's villa/apartment complex where she was held in a room that could only be opened from the outside. From the beginning and for the 2 years, Kabu would tell Anna that nobody's looking out for you. You've been discarded by your parents. Nobody cares for you. And he would feed her these things, which was obviously a psychological manipulation tactic. And it was almost as if Kabu wanted to feel like a hero, like he was keeping her safe, when obviously it was the opposite. And that eventually like he was the only one that cares about her, and that's why he is putting her in his room safe and that she's alive, and she should be grateful for that. Crazy thing, during the 2 years Kabu was actually able to study, go to school. In 2016, he even got a new job after he graduated. He was hired at a company that made firefighters' equipments. Even crazier, the neighbors never say that they heard a girl scream, fight, like none of that. Apparently, these apartment complexes, the walls are so thin that they should have been able to hear these things, but nothing. Like it was almost as if Anna really never fought back. His university schoolmates even say that they remember him telling his friends that he got a girlfriend. So of course, parents' nightmare. What do you think would have happened within those 2 years? Most of the times you hear about kidnapping cases, it goes so wrong. If they survived through torture and hell. According to Anna and Kabu, I mean, there was no physical signs that she was either sexually or physically abused at all. If you see the room that she was living in, she had toys, essentials, like food stuff that she could cook, like literally the opposite of what you would expect from a captive victim. There was even a door that led to the patio, many windows and, you know, chances and opportunities for her to escape. But according to Anna, she was closely observed all the time. Kabu would actually even leave for a couple of days to his parents' home or during vacations and holidays, and he would purposely lock Anna inside of the room that only could be locked from the outside. Anna actually says that she left a couple times outside with Kabu closely watching, of course, to go shopping, to go get some food and things like that. So she did have certain chances to run away, but for some reason she did not. So again, for the duration of 2 years, it seems like Anna was closely watched without much physical interaction between the two, which is even creepier and wilder, because it was as if he was just observing a human being held captive, almost like a pet or like a zoo. I mean, you would expect that he would do something really bad to her physically, but it seems like that's not the case. And she actually had access to internet and TV. A heater, I mean, the place seemed relatively very clean. And the crazy thing is, almost 2 years in, she says that they actually moved to different apartments. So I don't know how that move situation happened, but obviously when you're moving, you gotta take all the stuff, the door has to be open, you have to go through trucks. How did they move? We don't know, but seems like they never got caught, or Anna even ran away during that point. There was also no evidence that she was ever tied up or chained. There was even times where Kabu would forget or didn't lock the door of Anna's room. So Anna said that she would actually go out of the house when the door was unlocked, and there were a couple of times when she actually tried to escape or seek help. And one of the times she actually went out and tried to ask a mother who was with the child for help, but apparently the mother was confused and refused help. I believe there was another time when she went out and asked an elder for help, and that person also refused for whatever reason. So she felt like nobody really wanted to find her. And I think that was one of the reasons why she also decided to stay, because she started to believe that really safety was maybe inside of Kabu's apartment and nobody really cared about her. People debate if Anna was going through Stockholm syndrome, where you start to have some kind of a trust or even affection toward your captor. Another crazy thing is that there's information out there that supposedly a delivery man visited Kabu's house to deliver stuff, and he would see this young girl, but then she would be kind of freely, obviously, inside the apartment, smiling and waving at him, you know, indicating that maybe she felt okay here, and people were kind of confused in this information of what truly was going on inside Anna's mind. But again, I personally believe that she was literally brainwashed to think that it was okay being in that situation, and she kind of became accustomed to it. But we do have to note that what Kabu was trying to do was definitely manipulate her, because he did not let her use the phone or give her a chance to contact anyone that she knew. So he was afraid and he knew what he was doing. But we will later find out that Kabu was actually planning this for a long time, where police found in the search engine place with not a lot of people and not such a rural or quiet area, and found the specific town where Anna was living in, and that's where he started to target people that he wanted to kidnap. 2 days prior to her escape, Anna claims that she was surfing on the internet when she saw a video about her where her parents were desperately trying to search for her. The day of the escape, Kabu told Anna that he was going to go shopping, and he left the door unlocked. Anna certainly felt this urge that there were people searching for her, that her parents were indeed searching for her, and that she was wanted. And that's when she got the courage to go out and call for help. Supposedly, she gathered up 500 yen. I think that's about $5 US dollars, something like that. So she stashed that money somewhere in her room, took that money, and went to the payphone to call her parents. So let's talk about Kabu's mind and what he went through and his weird, creepy fantasies. Kabu actually admitted that he had a fantasy to kidnap someone since middle school. But what was his motive if he did not physically hurt his captive? Did he just truly and solely enjoy the feeling of just having someone captive and that's it, without any other really inappropriateness or abuse? But I feel like maybe he had some kind of a social issue where he could not connect with people as normal people do. Because he could not connect to people and talk to people in a normal sense, he just had to have this, I guess, heroic or a dominant feeling over someone. And the only way he was really able to feel that social pleasure or feel like someone is like his friend or there for him was to actually kidnap and capture someone. It's like literally forcing someone to be your friend or your roommate because you just don't know how to normally get that interaction. I think there was also a possible part of him that he wanted to feel like a hero, or like he wanted to be looked upon by this girl, thinking that he was like her savior or something. I recently saw this video of where this Korean psychologist was evaluating this child who had this very different social behavior where he was not able to interact and connect with people like normal people do. Because he does not have the normal senses and the connection, the way this child was trying to connect and make friends was through like inappropriate behaviors or talk or trying to get some kind of shock out of someone. He couldn't read people's emotions as well. When there was like a picture of a girl that was like shaking or afraid, he saw that as, oh, it seems like she's pretty, she seems happy. Like there are certain people who are not able to read emotions. They seek and crave attention, but they don't know how to get that in a normal way. Maybe something truly did happen within those 2 years, but Anna just did not speak up about it. But again, there were no evidences that they found that anything really inappropriate or physical abuse went on. It could have been a lot worse, you guys. It could have been a lot worse. She could have been dead, but she came home alive. It seemed like, you know, she was not physically hurt. But either way, what Kaboo did was take away a child's innocence, taking away her life and her freedom from her parents for 2 years. And even though he might not have physically hurt her, what he did was very, very criminal. During the trial, Kaboo admitted to his crimes, and the lawyers argued that he takes full responsibilities for what he has done, but he did not act in any violence or hurt the girl. They were also trying to argue that Kaboo was mentally ill, where he was suffering from schizophrenia, that he couldn't fully go on trial, but the court did not take his excuses and sent him to 9 years in prison. He was also seen making erotic behaviors in court. Not sure if he was faking it or if it was real.
So during court, he started to shout out, "I'm a forest fairy, I'm really an amoeba." Now, is he really going through some kind of mental illness, or was he faking it? We don't know, because I could not find any information that he was actually evaluated thoroughly by a professional.
And during the appeal ruling, the court actually raised his sentence to 12 years. The only update about Anna that we know is that her parents say that she is very afraid to go out and does not have a normal social life anymore, and that she is getting treatments. As you know, her life was taken away for 2 years. That's a long time for a child or teenager. I mean, for that 2 years, she could have been educated, and instead she was being dumbed down, almost like, you know, so people observing an animal in a zoo. She missed out on so much, and hopefully that she was able to get re-educated and learn and get the freedom that she and everybody deserves. I really do hope that he is getting treatment and people are trying to figure out what was going on inside a mind like Kaboo, so that we can prevent this in the future and see some red flags and signs. Let me know what you guys have thought about this story. Thank you so much for watching. Remember to check out Care of, and see you guys in my next video. Today's story has been requested by so many of you guys that I just could not ignore it. It's a crazy story that's been blowing up on the internet, and they're comparing this case to the actual Orphan movie. I haven't watched the movie, but it's a movie about where a couple adopts an orphan. She has this angelic look to her. She's like the perfect child that you want to adopt, until they realize that she is evil inside. And this orphan wants to murder the whole entire family. The creepy quote in the movie is, "You'll never guess her secret." So this real life version of this movie happened in the Philippines. Pretty much all the sources about this story was in the Filipino language. So I had a lot of fans who DM'd me, who translated a lot of it for me. So thank you to all of these fans. Without you guys, I could not have done this story, because I obviously don't understand it. And this video is done because of you guys. Remember, you guys, just hitting the like button on this video and subscribing to this channel really helps me to continue my content and spread awareness about these cases that happen around the world. So this case happened in the town or region of Cotabato in the Philippines. And this is the Maguad family. They were known to be a very kind and hardworking family, and the parents were actually principals and teachers at a school. Especially as teachers and principals, they feel the responsibility of helping out kids, especially of those in need. The teachers had 2 kids. One is a daughter, she was 18 years old, named Crizel Gwen, and a son, Louis, was 16 years old. I'm a little bit confused because they have like many different names that a lot of people go by, the netizens go by, so I'm not sure which one is exactly their name. But regardless, the 2 kids were known to be very excellent in school. They got good grades. They were very popular because they were very kind-hearted, bubbly, and in these videos you could see what kind of a bright, amazing people they were. Gwen also won Miss English crown in high school, and Louis had a dream to become a lawyer. So they also had a 3rd daughter. Well, technically daughter, technically not, want, you guys tell me what you think of this relationship is. But they also had an adopted daughter named Janice. Janice was 17 years old and she joined the family not that long ago, only about 5 to 6 months prior to the incident. Now Jay, she is a real mystery. Now we're gonna come back to who she was in the past, you know, her whole story, which is very confusing and not a lot of people know about the whole truth of the story and where she came from. But regardless, she was a 17-year-old living with the relatives of the Maguad family. So they were calling Janice also cousin at times. It was said that Janice came from a very poor family and she was an orphan. She had no parents. That's why she was living with this temporary family. But the story goes from the internet and the netizens that Janice was very close to Gwen, and Gwen really cared about her. She felt like she was kind of like, you know, her sister, little sibling. They felt bad for her. They wanted to help her and they felt somehow connected to her and felt bad for her, you know. And that's just how Gwen and Janice got really close together. Gwen was also credited for really convincing her parents to take Janice into their home and become part of the family, which is a huge thing to do. I mean, I can't even do that, especially having a whole grown teenager who's almost an adult come and join your tiny little house. A big open heart that they had. Like, I wouldn't even do that. Like, I'm not trying to be selfish or anything, but you know, that's a big responsibility. They're not little kids or babies. She was a grown teenager. So the Maguad family decided to take her into their own home and just feed her with love. Feed her food, clothes, education. I mean, the parents were teachers. Probably unlimited resources of education that they could give her. They made TikTok videos together, and according to the relatives and friends, Gwen and Janice were like best friends. I mean, technically now they became stepsisters or siblings or, you know, whatever you want to call it. It was said that Louis also even gave up his own tiny room for Janice, and he ended up sleeping in the living room. And this particular day, the parents weren't home. They were obviously working at their school. The teenagers were at home, Gwen, Louis, and Janice. Now, while the father was working at a school, I believe around 3 p.m., he received a call from, I don't know if it was a neighbor or someone that called him saying that there was an intruder at his house and he needs to come home immediately. Only within 15 minutes, he came running back home, knocked on the door, and apparently the front door was locked. He went to the back of the door, kicked the door down somehow, and he was calling out to his kids. They were not answering, and soon he found out that on the floor there were a pool of blood. Unfortunately, he saw something he will never forget, which was Gwen and Louis just lifeless. He also says there was shattered glass everywhere. Gwen had a blanket over her, so someone put a blanket over her body. But of course, now he was looking for his other daughter, Janice, so he started calling Janice, Janice, where are you? And that's when miraculously Janice was the only one who called out for help, and she survived this attack. The father claims that Janice's hair was wet, and she claimed that she came out of the shower for whatever reason. And at first, I'm guessing that he thought that maybe she was in such a shock, she wanted to like, maybe she was hurt, he didn't know. But either way, she was in a mess and she was in a shock state as well. And come to find out, she was also the only witness. When the police finally came and she was interviewed, Janice claimed that there were 3 robbers trying to rob their house. Clearly, she didn't know who they were, and for some reason, they only killed the 2 teenagers and not her. She says that she ran into her room and locked the door and she was hiding. The way that the police believe the act happened was that someone used hammer and baseball and just like combinations of weapons, and unfortunately these bodies were found in such a brutal, graphic way. The crazy thing about this case is that while Janice claimed that she was hiding in her room, she was actually trying to seek help on Facebook. She posted these on her Facebook at around 3 p.m. Help me. Guys, help me, please. Someone entered the house. I don't want to die yet. I am inside the room hiding, with a lot of tear emojis. A little odd that she was literally on her phone typing and able to post without calling for help. She also texted her adopted parents, "Mama, please help." But for some reason she did not pick up her phone. I believe she called her boyfriend as well, and her boyfriend claims that there was no sound in the background and the phone just hung up. In the forensic evidence, police found broken bottles, a knife, hammer and a baseball bat, which was suspected to be used for the murder. Police, of course, believed Janice. I mean, this was a brutal attack. It had to be like 3 grown men who had to do this. Because they couldn't find who this was, they even set out a reward to the public. If anyone knew any information leading to the suspects, they would get a huge cash reward. But soon, not only the police, but the netizens, the media just could not believe the story. Something about Janice's statement just did not make sense. The first thing police said was that, this had to be an act of rage. Most intruders, people trying to steal things, do not brutally kill someone. This was an act of someone that had intense emotional anger and attachment to these victims. Second thing, nothing in the house was stolen. Any money, any valuables, jewelry, nothing was stolen. So how does it make sense an intruder comes in and just kills someone and just leaves without taking whatever they wanted? And the biggest clue was that the weapons that was used by the suspects all belong to the family. The hammer was actually the father's, and he claims that he put the hammer in the laundry area where only Gwen and Janice knew where it was. The baseball bat also belonged to their son Louis, which was stored inside of his room that Janice was using at the time. There's no way an intruder that comes in is just going to dig through weapons. It means that the suspect had to go inside Janice's room that she was hiding in to physically take the hammer and do the act. Police also found a plastic bag with bloodstains on it, including pants, underwear near the house, and it was just thrown out. Police believe that it had to belong to the suspects. Starting here is when the netizens and the internet start to go wild with their own theories because they just found Janice to be so suspicious. I mean, this girl, she is smiling in the photos. She looks so innocent. She just seems like a normal 17-year-old teenager. But why would she lie about anything that she's seen? So of course, people found that post that she made to be super suspicious. Who would be in their right mind to click on the emojis, find the sad tear button, and then press it? It just seemed really weird and unauthentic that someone would do that in a life and death situation. Also, on the day of the incident, it was the first time that Janice called her adoptive parents mom and dad. And the relatives and friends say that she never referred to them as mom and dad before, and it was just really strange that the day of the incident she would call them their parents, and people wonder if she did that in order to let them know that she was now going to be their one and only daughter. Another odd thing, why was she taking a shower at the time? People just cannot believe in the midst of such a horrific incident that you would be in the right mind to go and take a shower. Was it because maybe she was just trying to shut out reality and just kind of go into her little corner and try to forget everything, just being in a shock moment? Or was she taking a shower because she wanted to get rid of something, some evidences? Janice also testified that the suspects killed the boy first, then her sister, but according to the forensic evidence, it had to be Gwen who went first. Then her brother, as they can tell the blood was dried up more with Gwen's body. Shortly after the incident, Janice deleted the post of help and later posted a message on Facebook with condolences to her siblings who were murdered. She also deleted that afterwards. But in these posts, she tagged her new siblings' names and had many people who showed support for her. It was said that a couple months back, she was actually caught stealing from the Maguad family. She stole around $200. Now, for whatever reason she wanted to steal, the family still forgave her because, she's young, she's a teenager, she never probably had money before, and it's a new family, and she was probably struggling to really fit in with this new family. Her boyfriend also came forward and said that once Janice told him that she really did not like the Maguad family and called them too poor. I'm not sure if this statement is true. Again, maybe a lot of the statements are just things that a lot of people maybe made up or words got twisted, but supposedly according to her friends, she had a lot of these two sides where in front of people she would act really kind and cute and innocent, but in the back she would be showing another side of her. Finally, police were able to confirm and match the fingerprint from the weapons, especially the baseball bat, to Janice's fingerprints. And also, her bloody clothes were found in the back of the house that she somehow tried to hide. And just like that, after she was confronted with some of the evidences, Jay confessed to her lawyer that indeed it was her that killed her siblings. Like, what? How did she even do this? Look at this girl. Like, she doesn't seem like she has that much strength to overpower two grown bodies. So who really is Janice, and what was the motive for her to do this? And she is not who she claims to be, according to the netizens. Now, netizens, who are pretty much like online detectives these days, found a post from back in 2013 of someone trying to find their little girl. Now, the picture, I'm not sure if it's confirmed or not, but the picture really looks like Janice when she was younger. Now, this post and people claim that she boarded a ship alone back in 2013, and it seemed like her parents were trying to find her. So she was kind of like declared missing technically. Some say that Janice's real parents were actually abusive, and they were extremely poor and could not really properly take care of her and her other siblings that she had. I believe she had about 5 other siblings. But aside from that, no one really knows the true story and where she really came from, and no one can really confirm her background, which is very sad and what makes this case even more mysterious. This is the Facebook page that belongs to Janice, and I saw some of her posts, and mostly she would repost a lot of memes and quotes. Taking this story and seeing what she reposted a lot of emotional things, like very sad. Seems like her emotions were very up and down, and she liked to express them through these memes, which a lot of teenagers do. The last post that she posted on Facebook was a quote, "Someday all our soon will be finally." I mean, whatever that meant to her. According to the family and the parents, the motive for Janice was that she was extremely jealous of Gwen. This is just a guess from the parents, but it seemed like she really did not like how her new siblings were thriving in life. And maybe finally, you know, having step siblings in her past life and her parents being abusive, and maybe she wanted a family or parents where she solely could receive all the attention without going it to anyone else. The one who takes everything, the one who doesn't have to share. And people do wonder if she had an accomplice, especially her boyfriend, but it was proven that her boyfriend was not at the scene and she solely did this. Maybe she did have an accomplice and we just didn't find them yet. I'm not sure how true this is, but they're saying that the marks on the siblings were not a hard blow. It was a bit of a weaker blow that is possible that Janice, a 17-year-old female, could have done. It's still unclear how she was able to overpower 2 people. They believe that Janice did this to Gwen first while the brother wasn't looking or he wasn't in the premise. So in my opinion, this had to be very, very carefully planned. This was premeditated. Because again, how is it possible that a 17-year-old just does this and overpower 2 people without carefully planning it? Which goes to show you that these 2 siblings were not expecting this at all. She knew where the weapons were and probably got them all set up before she did this. There's allegedly a leaked conversation between Janice and her friend before this incident happened, where Janice texted her friend saying that she wanted to kill somebody, and her friends jokes and say, "I'll help," where Janice replies, "No, you will tell on me." So that's all the information that we have regarding the Maguad case. My heart just goes out to these 2 beautiful souls and the family. The fact that they were just trying to help someone and you invite someone with such a malicious intent into your home. Who would have suspected, like in the movie, a 9-year-old innocent looking orphan would have such dark thoughts behind those innocent faces? There was one post that she posted of this, like a very fantasy, glittery, expensive luxury items, and maybe it's one thing that she was really fantasizing and idolizing, that she really wanted to get out of the type of life she was living in. Let me know what you guys have thought about the story. Again, if there's any information that I'm missing or was wrong about, let me know in the comments down below. If you have any stories that you want me to talk about, remember to email me right here, and you like and subscribe, and hitting the notification bell helps me out immensely, and I reply to all my early birds. See you guys in my next video. Today we're going to be talking about Christine Dacera's case. You might have heard about this as once it was viral on social media. According to the Philippine police, this case is solved. But is it? As many people are very eerie about what happened on the night Christina Dacera passed away. Are these suspects really innocent, and due to police lack of professionalism, have their lives been defamed forever, or is it all lies? First of all, did you notice my outfit? Like, have you seen an outfit like this? Like, look at this. Fab. My flower earrings, my mushroom necklace, and I think my makeup is on point today. Christine Angelica Faba Dacera was born on April 13th, 1997. She was still very young, only 23 years old. She was a flight attendant for PAL Airlines or the Philippines Airlines. She even graduated in media arts. And she was really active on social media. She had a lot of followers on her Instagram. She made a lot of TikTok videos and she had a lot of fans because she had this like very bright energy about her. And if you see her videos, it's just her smile, her energy, like you could tell she's a very active, kind woman. She's like that girl that everybody wants to be. She was tall, she was beautiful, a flight attendant. If you are Asian, you know that flight attendant jobs are like highly accepted in like the Asian community. And there's even a conversation of allegedly Christine talking to her ex-boyfriend. This is allegedly, I'm not sure if this conversation is 100% true or not, but apparently it is, where she farewells him and wishes each other the best, even talking about his future girlfriend, saying like, if you get a girlfriend, tell me because I want to know who's taking care of you, you know, someone that I care about. So you could tell even by this conversation, she had just a free, amazing, beautiful soul. So it was on December 31st. The day before New Year's. I mean, everybody, you know, loves to celebrate. So Christine also decided to have a New Year's celebration with her 3 of her male friends. They were hanging out in a hotel in Manila, Philippines. And it was reported that she was only close to 2 of the men and the 3rd man was like a friend of the other 2. It's kind of confusing, and also a lot of this information is in the Philippine language. So I try to dig up as much information as I can. If I'm missing anything, please leave a comment down below. Again, it's in another language, so it's kind of hard. Now this information is a little bit iffy, but the 3 men that she was with invited other guys to come over and get another hotel room so they can all have this New Year celebration. But anyway, 8 other men came to the hotel, so total there was about 11 guys that night. Not to mention there was also a hotel manager that worked at this hotel that joined the party after as well. Now shortly after the midnight countdown, 3, 2, 1, Happy New Year's! Christine called her mother wishing her a Happy New Year's and telling her that she was with her co-workers and that she was having fun time celebrating. Now the very important and controversial information about this whole case was that all these men, the 11 men, claim that they're all gay. And one of the friends says, my impression of her is she likes to hang out with us LGBT members, he said. She's comfortable with us. And this is what Christine's friend said. So this could explain why she felt comfortable hanging out with 11 other guys. I mean, I'll be honest. Even me, as someone that is straight, you know, if me hanging out with 11 guys that I don't know, but I would even be like, whoa, there's 11 guys coming tonight, like, and I'm the only girl. Even though I know my 2-3 guy friends that I'm with that night, you know, I guess that means I could trust their guy friends as well. Still, I don't know if that's just me. Let me know, you guys. I would still feel a little bit eerie hanging out with that many guys if I'm the only female there. Now in the CCTV hotel footage, you could see that Christine and their friends was switching over rooms back and forth throughout the night. I believe one room was the room that Christine and her friends were staying in, and the other room was a friend of the friends. Also, mainly I have to say everybody was drinking alcohol because it was New Year's celebration, so I had to put that out there. Now throughout the video, you could see everybody's pretty much having a fun time. It seems like Christine's pretty comfortable with the guys. She's like touching their arms, you know, they have their arms around each other. This 2:52 a.m. CCTV footage is also very controversial. I need your opinion as well, also if you live in the Philippines. The footage captures Christine kissing a guy, a man named Valentin Rosales, as they are about to enter another room. Again, this footage was highly controversial because the men, all of them claimed that they were gay. Now later in an interview, Valentin said that it was Christine first who initiated the kiss and he was just kind of trying to be nice and he tried to push away shortly after. But this footage absolutely did not help and it put a lot of more questions to these men. But the friends still claim that Christine likes to get very wild and she's very active when she gets drunk. So this could possibly explain her behavior even though she knew that the guys weren't interested in females. At 3:22 a.m. she's seen with other friends going back and forth. At 4:13 a.m. she's seen carried by one of the guys. It seems like she's almost passed out. Early in the morning, her friends claim that she was vomiting and brought back her to to their room. And there's even a picture that they took of Christine in the bathroom throwing up, claiming that she was still alive at this point. This is where things get tricky, and this is where people have a lot of questions about the timeline. At around 10 a.m., one of her friends, Galito, found Christine in the bathtub, thinking that she just passed out and fell asleep. So he claims that he bought a blanket and kind of put it over her. It's tricky, you guys, because would I have done that if I saw my friend in the bathtub passed out? If it was me, I would have tried to like wake her up and bring her to the room, because like sleeping in the bathtub, that's not a cute thing. I don't know, like I wouldn't leave my friends in the bathtub unless I knew I was super drunk and she was super drunk. Would I have left my friend in the bathtub? No, but I guess you never know. I guess some people are different. At around noon, he went back to the bathroom and saw that she was blue, wasn't moving, and quickly alerted the staff for help. The hotel staff tried CPR to Christine, but it did not work, so they had to take her to the hospital. Now you could see she was put on a wheelchair, and they didn't know she was lifeless at this point. And because of that, she fell off the wheelchair a couple of times, according to the staff and her friends. When she got to the hospital, unfortunately, she was pronounced already passed away. And another interesting thing was they found a lot of bruises in Christine's body. Apparently there was bruise on her legs, on her foot, on her hands. I don't really see it on the CCTV, although it's pretty grainy. Did she get this after something has happened to her, or did she have this already in her body a couple days prior? Now, police were very quick to point the fingers and claim this as a homicide and that she was violated, indicating that the men that she was partying with have caused the death. The police even told the media that they had significant evidence and reasons why they believe the men have done this to her, although they did not present or say any significant evidences on why they believe the men did this. This case then became a viral sensation on social media, and hashtag justice for Christine started trending everywhere. 3 of the men, Christine's friends, were arrested in a possible connection to her death. At this point, rest of the men that was at the party did not come forward yet. They were all gone by at this point, so technically the police didn't really have much to go up on. Now, starting here is where the inconsistent and weird information pops up, because you know it's more like he said she said at this point. Now, first, at the police interrogation, apparently Christine's friend told the police that Christine told them that her drink might have been spiked. But interesting thing is that the friends claim that Christine never told them anything, that someone had violated her or you know something bad has happened to her, and if she did, if someone has done something bad to Christine, she would have definitely told her friends or alerted someone. But her friends claim that she never told them anything and that she was just vomiting and throwing up. In the original autopsy, it concluded that Christine actually passed away due to natural causes by rupture of aortic aneurysm. I don't know if I'm saying that right. Aortic aneurysm is a rupture of one's biggest vein in our body that connects to the heart, and apparently that was the cause of why Christine passed away. Now, according to professionals, they claim that if she was violated or if someone had anything to do with her, still there would be no rupture in the aortic aneurysm. That's so hard to say. And we're gonna talk about this a little bit more because they did a second autopsy as well. So later on, these men actually came to the media and they claimed that Christine telling the friends that her drink was spiked was actually a lie and that it was forced by the police and the family of Christine. So they felt that this was unfair. They later came out and retracted the statement. And the men also claimed that they were all treated very poorly and they were almost threatened, and they said that they will all go to jail and be locked up forever if they do not confess, and that they were just kind of under that pressure and they were really scared, so they just had to say what the police told them to say. Although the Philippines police claimed that this is not true, that they were not treated poorly, due to lack of evidence, the 3 men that was held in custody were released because the police never really had evidence that the men led to the death of Christine. The only evidence as of right now that the police took were these white substances found in the hotel rooms, and tests later showed that they were just table salts. So there was a second autopsy done to try and confirm what really has happened to Christine. Although the second autopsy's information was not released to the public, it was still concluded, I believe, that the main reason that Christine passed away was because, again, of the aortic rupture. It also showed that her heart weighed 5 500 grams, which is larger than the normal 300-gram heart. In conclusion, the professionals believe that she had an undiagnosed hypertension, which is basically high blood pressure. Experts say high levels of alcohol can become very deadly to those who have this condition. Again, I'm not a doctor, but if you are, please explain it better than me. Apparently, everything mixed together led to Christine's rupture of the aortic veins. After this news was released to the public, the police retracted the homicide case and they concluded that it was due to natural causes. But still, Christine's family could not come to a peace that she passed away naturally. Christine's mother says that when she saw her daughter's body, she just could not believe all the bruises in her body, and she just could feel as a mother that something more has happened. Which, yes, I do agree that you cannot discredit mother's instincts. It is questionable, where did Christine's bruises come from? I mean, hotel staff claimed that she fell off the wheelchair multiple times and that's kind of like the reason why she had all these bruises. Or maybe before she passed away, she fell in the bathtub, you know, while she was vomiting. She maybe hit something. Now, some of the men have come forward to the media and were telling their side of the story. Some of the men are seen crying in the interviews that they're innocent, they had nothing to do with this, and that all their reputation and they were pretty much defamed. Their face is known to the whole public now when they had absolutely nothing to do with Christine's death. If they're innocent, I absolutely understand what they would be going through. I mean, millions of people are seeing your face, pointing fingers at you without proper evidence that you are an evil murderer. I'm sure if they want to get a new job, if they want to make friends, I mean, their reputation is already damaged. Now, more shockingly, Philippines police is calling for one of the chief and couple of the officers for mishandling Christine's case. There's an interview where one of the hosts asked the men, what is the regret about that night? And one of Christine's friends say that he regrets possibly sleeping longer that day, that he could have woken up earlier and try to help her. There's still some questions that are left, such as where did Christine get those bruises on her body? Was she really comfortable with the men that she was hanging out with? Are there some truth that they're not telling that we will just never know? And also, something might have happened in the rooms that was not captured on CCTV, so that we will also never know as well. Although this case is solved technically, to the parents and to a lot of people, they still believe that these men had something to do with it. And like always, if you enjoy these videos, hit the like button. That really helps me out so much. Oh my god, it's 222. It's 222. At least I had a stressful week, but I'm getting some double numbers, triple numbers. Have a magical day, you guys. Today's video is very unexpected because I was not expecting to cover this case. But I really wanted to ask myself and everyone, what would you have done if you and your friends went out to the river to have a nice boat day and have fun with your friends, and all of a sudden your friends fall off the boat and they're missing? What would you have done after you found out? Because in today's case, we're going to be talking about a famous Thai actress named Tangmo Nida. She went missing after she went out on a boat with her friends, and her body was found 2 days later, and police seems to conclude that this was an accident, but fans, the family, and everybody seems to not really buy what the police are saying. And her friends' reactions were very, very interesting. So, what would you have done? Is this a case that needs actual justice, or is it another case that has been twisted by the media frenzy? The details of this case, I'm sure, is in the Thai language, and I don't speak Thai, so I try to find as much English source as possible. So if you are Thai and if you know some information that I've missed or got wrong, please leave a comment down below. So Tangmo Nida was a Thai actress and she was born on September 13th, 1984. She was just 37 years old at the time of the incident, and she had a huge following on social media. She was on Instagram, she made TikTok videos. I mean, she was kind of like the rest of us. She was in Miss Teen Thailand during her early days. She was very well educated. She had multiple degrees, including nursing assistant. Of course, her main career was acting. She was an actress since she was a teenager, and up till now, she was in a lot of major big Thailand movies, including Netflix. When Nida was around only 5 years old, when she was a child, her parents got a divorce. And she was living with her father for most of her life, and her mother left the family and only returned when she was a teenager. It is rumored that Nida and her mother just recently got close. It's not like they were close all their lives. In December 2013, she got married to a Thai singer/actor, Parkin, but only 2 years after their marriage, they decided to split. Shortly after that, she was in a lot of distress, possibly from the splits, and many other things that was going on in her life that we don't know about. So it is noted that Nida was going through some personal issues, very extreme degree, at least one point in her life, to the point where she wanted to take her own life. But this happened, 8 years ago, and until recently, it seemed like she was having a great life. She turned her life around, she had a new boyfriend, she was still doing really well in her entertainment career. And these videos and photos, at least from what it looks like, she portrays a happy life. Now, this information is really iffy to me personally. But she had an adopted daughter, and this adopted daughter's biological mother was one of her managers. She had 2 managers, I believe, and one of her main manager was named Gatik, and she was one of the person on the boat we're going to be talking about. So Gatik was a biological mother, but at the same time, Gatik and Nida were living together and they were working together, and they were like sharing the daughter. So I don't know if legally Nida adopted the daughter, but personally, I don't really see how Gatik was not fit to be a mother. She was around her daughter all the time. So was Nida. Seemed like they weren't really having trouble with money to like the degree of poverty where she couldn't take care of her daughter. So I don't know the extent of the relationship, but from what I've read and seen, I personally don't understand it. It's interesting that the actress adopted the daughter of her best friend slash manager and they lived together. Or I don't know, maybe Nida couldn't have a child of her own and she wanted to adopt. Like, we don't know, but I just think it's interesting. But either way, Nida took care of Esther, the daughter, as her own. I mean, she took her to school, they were living together. I mean, she was basically like her mother and she loved this child as her own. Of course, there's also videos of Gatik swimming with her daughter, and she also calls her daughter as well. So again, if anyone has an explanation to what this relationship was, please let us know in more detail because I just find it really interesting. On February 24th, Nida and 5 other people boarded what I call a tiny speedboat in Chao Phraya River in Bangkok. There were 2 other females, one Gatik, her manager, and Sand, who was supposedly their best friend. 3 other males, 1 friend, 1 boat owner, and 1 the driver. According to the witnesses, they rode this boat to go somewhere to eat and then come back. And of course, have a drink, have a nice little way to end the night. These are photos and videos taken from the boat that day. And for me personally, I find, they were pretty fine. It seemed like she was pretty happy. Some people think she was not happy in this video, but all I see is normal. I mean, nothing too out of the ordinary, right? I believe none of the people on the boat were wearing life jackets, at least especially Nida wasn't. She was wearing a one-piece swimsuit under her clothes, supposedly to take some good photos for her social media, and that's one of the reasons that the witnesses, her friends, gave an explanation of why she wasn't wearing a life jacket. But I mean, come on. They probably weren't wearing a life jacket, in my opinion, because they'd probably done this multiple times and they didn't feel the need to. Of course, that's the wrong way to approach safety protocols. Should be there 100% of the time, but not an exclusion for your friends or your celebrity friends, or just because you've done this multiple times before. Everybody should have been wearing life jackets. Supposedly, the boat's bathroom was broken and they were out for a couple hours, and Nida really needed to use the bathroom. She needed to pee. Again, this is all according to the friends. So around 10:40 p.m., Nida went to the back of the boat. She was holding onto her friend Sand's leg, and Sand was lying down looking at her phone like this. Supposedly, when Nida was holding onto it and she was trying to pee, this is when the boat jerked and Nida fell into the water. So this is the part when the information is going to get very suspicious and conflicting, so buckle up. Of course, this is when they didn't see their friend Nida anywhere and started to panic and look for her. They searched for a while, and there's different reports that it was 20 minutes up to an hour. When they couldn't find her, that they decided to call the police and get a rescue team. According to her friends, I mean, I kind of do understand that it's going to be very hard to find someone by themselves in this tiny boat. They probably don't really have a lot of lights. They don't have the proper search equipment. There's probably like 1 or 2 lights in front of the boat, and the water is pitch black. When the rescue team came out to try and find her, according to them, the current was very high and there was limited visibility, and the search was unsuccessful. The friends returned to the dock at around 1 a.m., so around 2.5 hours after Nida fell. They all left to go home before the actual police arrived. That's the first part that a lot of netizens have a problem with. It was later found out that before they went home, all the people that was there, I don't know if Sand was there, but at least the men and Gatik, they met up at a gas station and there's a CCTV of them talking. So we don't know what they talked about, but first of all, I mean, would you have even gone home knowing that your friend fell off the water and you can't find her? We'll get to in a bit of what the explanation was from the friends in a bit. According to the reports from then, for 24 hours, none of these 5 friends picked up their phones nor could be reached. Mother of Nida called the manager, the police were calling them, and they literally disappeared for 24 hours. Obviously, some people believe that, I mean, did they do this because they wanted to concoct a story, a same story, like they had to match their words because they knew more than they claimed to. I mean, Gatik, her manager, later on in the interview said that she went home because she was tired and she missed her daughter that was home. That's why she didn't have time to pick up Nida's mother's calls. But for me personally, would I be even sleeping if my friend was missing in the water and you can't find her and she is like an A-class celebrity in your country, my friend who adopted my own daughter that I live with? I don't know if I would have even left the scene. Unfortunately, the rescue team could not find the body right away, and it was 2 days later when they finally saw Nida's body floating around the area that she went missing. Of course, the media, her fans, netizens, everybody was shocked that this beautiful, lively actress was just gone like that. The first and the biggest information that people found out was that the driver of the boat was actually unlicensed, or that his license expired. I mean, whatever the story was, he was unlicensed. He was not a great driver. I mean, suspicions aside, the fact that you have an unlicensed person is really important because you need someone that actually knows how to drive the boat smoothly, safely, and put safety protocols to everybody in that boat. Otherwise, something like this can happen. There were some witnesses on the dock claiming that the boat was going too fast at certain points, which is a very important information because someone that does not know how to properly drive a boat could have definitely led to a tragedy like this. When the autopsy was done on Nida's body, there's one part that is unexplainable, which was a long cut that was on her thighs. I believe it was in her inner right thighs. There was some minor bruises as well, and they can't 100% confirm if this cut was from the day of the incident or a couple days prior, but they do think that this cut had to be somewhere within 5 to 7 days. I mean, this was a large 30-centimeter cut, and the only explanation that they think they have is when Nida fell off the boat, that her skin was scraped from the propeller that was moving around. But no major vessels were punctured through this cut, so they don't believe that this was the cause of her death. And actually, the ultimate cause of her death was drowning because they found water and sand in her lungs, which indicates that she was alive when she fell. So like I said, it seems like the police are ruling this as an accident. And she was drinking as well. She was having some wine, so mixed with alcohol, the shock of falling into the water, and the cut all might have contributed to her drowning. But the public was of course not buying this explanation, and there's a lot of things that are wrong with this theory. And the first thing is the fact that Nida can swim. I mean, first of all, this wasn't an ocean, you know, it's not like you have big tide waves, but this is a river where there was a lot of CCTV. You could literally see where the boat was. There was a lot of people on the deck. How could she have not swam out of her way? Number 2, people don't buy that Nida was trying to pee at that moment. But it doesn't make sense that someone is trying to pee when the boat is going really fast. I mean, I've been on a boat before, and especially in a tiny boat like that, when you're moving really fast, you can barely grab onto anything and stand still. So the fact that someone was trying to literally balance themselves, hold onto their friend's leg and try to pee and get the pee everywhere because obviously the boat's going fast, and like have the water splash on you. I mean, it just doesn't make sense that anyone would try to pee in that kind of circumstance. Not only that, but Nida, was she really comfortable with everyone there? I mean, there was 2 other males that seems like she wasn't. It's not like they were her boyfriends or their family. I mean, I don't know how close she was with them, but according to the friends, she was obviously close enough to feel comfortable to pee in the middle of the boat. The other explanation would be just the fact that she's so chill. She just doesn't care, or maybe she was so wasted, intoxicated, that she didn't care and she really wanted to go. From the CCTV footages, I mean, it seems like the dock and where the boat was pretty close. And if they really needed to go, I mean, she could have really just told the boat owners, hey, Let's get off for a second, let me go pee. Also, netizens claim that she was wearing a bodysuit, and girls, you know, when you wear a bodysuit, you gotta take the whole thing off if you want to go to the bathroom. So how was she trying to balance and maneuver her little bodysuit to try and pee while the boat was going really fast? Of course, again, since she is a high profile, there's CCTV footages everywhere. I mean, someone could have taken like a picture of her peeing, literally. I mean, I don't know if you want that kind of image out there. Nida's wine glass and some things that belonged on the boat was also not found, so they believe someone or somehow it fell off the boat during the incident. Gatik, her manager, actually had Nida's phone and she took it with her home. Now, when police found the phone, they did find evidence that Gatik deleted some of the conversations or some things on her phone and it was altered. Not clear in which specific text messages were deleted. Fans noticed that since the incident, about 7 photos were deleted from Nida's Instagram account. We don't know who did this, but I mean, we could only guess. Instagram is pretty much on your phone only. I mean, you can get it through computers, but most people use it through their phone. So someone most possibly that had access to her phone could have deleted some of her pictures. Now, which photos were deleted? Some of Nida's hardcore fans think it's photos of Nida swimming, photos of Nida's adopted daughter, and a photo of her cat. So was someone trying to hide the fact that Nida can swim? Also, a photo of Gatik swimming with her daughter was deleted from her personal Instagram. Also, remember this photo with Nida and Gatik the day that they were on the boat? Police found out that the time of this photo was taken at 9:56, but they think that the time of the photo, the data was altered by someone, as the photo seems like it had to be taken before the bridge light was turned off, which the bridge light turns off at 9 p.m. So this photo was taken way before 9:56, so they don't know how or why the photo time data was altered, but supposedly it was according to the police. I don't even know how you change the photo data time. I don't know if that's even possible these days. So I don't know if this information is correct from the media. Like I said, in 2022, I don't even know if it's possible unless you're a computer freak or expert. There's also a couple of reports from the media that one of the men called his powerful or rich friend for some kind of help or advice right after this incident. Now, I don't want to be too biased or judged because this person really could have sought help from their rich friends to provide some resources to try and help their friends, or it could be the other way, try to really ask for advice on what to do in this kind of situation. Who knows? Sand and Gatik went on the media to try and explain their actions. Now, according to the public, they believe that Sand and Gatik said some things that was very insensitive. When the media asked Sand what happened when her friend was holding onto her leg, Sand was afraid to get into the water as well, so she kind of shook off her leg. Also, regarding the question of why they left the scene, Sand responded, "I thought Nida would be helped by a nearby passing boat." So I believe this was their explanation of why they went home after knowing their friend was missing. They thought that she would get help from other people or the rescue team. I don't know what y'all think about that, but Sand also went on Instagram Live to talk to the fans about the accident only 1 week after Nida's body was found, which again, I don't understand. I don't understand people who go on Instagram Live after something like this has happened and trying to explain to the fans. I don't know, like, why would you be on social media at all? Maybe she felt that, you know, because Nida is such a popular actress in Thai, she felt the need to explain it to the fans, and there was thousands of people watching this live, by the way. But I can't seem to find the original copy of it. I just don't know. I just would not be on social media at all talking to anybody but the police and the family. But again, that's me. So police actually say that they don't believe Nida was trying to pee when she fell in the water because it just does not match the forensic evidence that they have so far. Now, there are a couple of videos floating around the internet. Again, I don't really want to comment too much on these because I know in the past cases that there are so many CCTV footages that's been altered by the people of online trying to make certain cases into a mystery when it's not. Just advise you that these may not be maybe the original copies. Like, we don't know because it's just floating around the internet. So supposedly this is a CCTV footage around the time that Nida fell off the water. Now, if these videos are real, or during the time the tide was not high nor the boat was going fast. But again, we don't know if these footages are in real time or if it's slowed down or sped up. But overall, it seems like the water itself was calm enough for someone to not be swept away by tides. Now, fans speculate that this video also is around the time that Nida should have fell over. It seemed like maybe someone was grabbing onto someone's hair. But again, the video is so dark and pixelated, all of these videos are, that it's really hard to make out anything. But it did get a lot of people to question, I mean, are these waters and these conditions really not swimmable? And if she was fighting in the water, did the friends really not hear someone calling for help or someone like literally drowning? Did she really just fall into the water and just disappear? Is that even really possible unless you were very drunk, very disoriented, or maybe something was holding you down? I mean, of course, another part, because I'm not a boat or river expert, I'm not there every single day fishing, so it's hard to say what the conditions might feel like. So if any of you guys are boat, you've been out on these kind of boats before, what would the condition be? And would you hear anyone during that time of night if someone fell off the boat and someone was missing? Because I don't want to judge yet if I'm not an expert when it comes to waters. So let's get into the suspicions of her friends and the possible theories that the netizens believe might contributed. So there were rumors that manager Gatik was very jealous of her friend Nida. Supposedly Nida and Gatik had some arguments about money before the incident. Allegedly, Nida wanted to replace Gatik with her other manager named Anna. To Gatik, this was her one and only source of income, and she felt like she was being pushed aside and losing her job. And Nida felt like she was not solely responsible to pay for her best friend's lifestyle. Now again, Gatik and Nida, I believe, were living together. Supposedly they were sharing clothes, they were sharing their daughter, cars, house, literally everything. And maybe Nida felt a little overwhelmed because of that. Now, according to YouTuber Nessie Judge, who did the translation, now she said that in an interview when the media asked Gatik why she did not pick up the calls of Nida's mother or the police, Gatik said that she was really tired, disoriented, again missing her daughter. Because Nida's mother was not a scuba diver, no can really help, she felt no need to alert her family when they found out that Nida was missing. So if this was truly an accident, and the police also claim that they don't think Nida was trying to urinate during the time, why would the friends need to make up that story? So as of right now, the two men, the owner of the boat and the driver, have been arrested for neglect, but they are out on bail as of this moment. The mother, I believe, went back and forth believing that this was not an accident, but then it was, but eventually she wanted to accept about $1 million of compensation from the boat owners and the driver. And she explained to the media that there's nothing that's going to bring her daughter back, so there's nothing else she can do but to forgive and accept compensation. But as of recent report, the mother and the family of Nida do want the police to look into this in a more thorough manner. Now, either way, do you think that how the friends handled the situation when your friend went missing was justified? And if some of you guys are contemplating, well, what if they didn't know that she was drowning? I mean, we're talking about the boat and the waters here. If the person's not on the boat, they're in the water. And if you can't hear them in the water, what do you think is happening? So I don't understand why the friends acted the way they did, and why the manager Gatik felt the need to delete certain things on their phone. I mean, not alerting the parents, okay, fine, if they felt really afraid that the parents were gonna worry, but to not pick up the police's phone calls, it's just wild to me.
So if we're going by the records of the police and how they're saying that this was an accident, I really don't believe that the friends tried to do something intentionally to hurt Nida. But I do think that they were bad friends and they handled the situation in a way that they shouldn't have.
And just my personal opinion, the fact that Nida would drown immediately in that kind of water that we see with information that we have. And if you could swim pretty well, at least the basic idea of swimming, the fact that she would drown, unless like she was under the boat somehow, you know, which according to the friends, the boat was moving at the time. So, but at the same time, we don't want to point fingers at anyone, because I mean, if they really was trying to do something wrong, this place with a lot of CCTVs and certain lights, would this place be really a place to try and murder someone? Is there a bigger story that we will never know until the friends speak up. So let me know what you guys have thought about Nida's case. My heart goes out. She was a beautiful looking actress. I'm sure it has shocked a lot of people. Your like in this video, subscribing, and hitting that notification bell really helps me to continue creating these contents and cover these cases. And I'm live watching the video with you guys and replying to all my early birds. Thank you so much for watching, and see you in my next video.